Hey 4xe fans, we're out in the garage today. We're going to do a little project on my 2021 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. We're going to put a set of plugs in this bad boy, and if you don't know about the expense of the spark plugs in the Wrangler 4xe, there's only 4 of them, but this is a $75 box. Yikes. But good set of plugs is important to a good running engine, so we're going to put these bad boys in and see how this whole project goes. I've never done it on the 4xe, but this is what we're going to be replacing. And that's a brand new one. We're going to see what the old ones look like coming out. Step 1, we got to get this bad boy out of the way. There are 2 screws on either side, but this thing is also attached with some like ball sockets back in the back. So once we get these loose, we're still going to have to kind of like break it free in the back. And there we go. And by the way, if you want to work on your own Jeep, I suggest getting a good set of Torx screwdrivers, wrenches, sockets, or whatever, because they're all over the vehicle. So it's just kind of, this was just a real cheap set. I don't even know, Job Smart, I don't even know like what brand that is. It's nothing expensive, but they're just a decent little set of screwdrivers. Okay, here's the reality of working on vehicles. And you see the joke around the internet a lot, but I have a 9mm and an 11mm, and that's a 10mm screw. I mean, the rumors are true. It's always lost. Okay, found my 10mm, but here's the funny thing. I can't find my small 1/4-inch socket wrench. So if you don't know, a 1/4-inch extender will fit in a DeWalt drill. So what I'm taking a screw out on is a coil, and at the end, down all the way down in there, at the end of that is the spark plug that we'll have to get out here in a minute. Now we have to pop this little tab out and then get that connector off there. So we'll pop that back and squeeze that really tight. We should be able to get that off without using a tool. Some people will take a tool and stick back in there. Well, I tell you, having the lift kit and the larger tires on this thing does make it harder to reach things. And there we go. That unplugged. And this should slip right out of there. There. That's what we're removing. Spark plugs down in the hole. Now, if you're anything like me, and I have a hard time memorizing what size socket goes on there, I mean, there are spark plug sockets, of course, that have the little rubber thing down in there. And if you're anything like me, like I never can remember which side's which, take one of your new ones and stick it in there, see if it fits. I mean, it's, I'm a problem solver. I got this stuff figured out for you. And since I don't know how long it is down in there, we're just going to do all the extensions. Yes, we'll go right down in there that way. It wasn't that deep. Okay, that should be loose. Let's see if it comes out. Maybe not. It may actually still be threaded. There are some pretty long threads on there. There, I think I felt it. And there we have one of our old spark plugs. And as you can see, now this is recommended in the 4xe manual to do this at 60,000 miles. And as you can see, good move. It's a good time to do it. I've got 63 and some change on this one, but I think that's a good thing to go ahead and do. Now, one of the issues, I don't know if this thing's focusing on those or not, one of the issues with the direct injection engines, of course, is you can have an oil dilution issue, which many of us in the 4xe community know well about because of fuel oil refresh mode or form. What you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have old plugs in there not burning off fuel as well and causing an oil dilution that maybe the software in the system can't account for. So you could actually end up with an oil dilution issue, but the software isn't counting on you having bad spark plugs. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Jeep has any software in there to determine how old the spark plugs are. I could be wrong. But, there's no sensor in there measuring oil dilution. It's all software based. So it's a good idea to keep good plugs in. That's what I'm getting at there, kids. So I'm going to go ahead and put this first one back in rather than taking them all apart and having the whole thing apart all at the same time. Now, I do not have the wrench on the end of this. If you've never done this, I like to be able to feel the threads so I know I'm not cross-threading it, so I don't put the wrench on it right away. So I'm going to put this down in here and make sure I can feel it threading up nice and work that in by hand until I can feel it getting snug. And then we'll put the wrench on there and give it a little... And there we go. Put our coil back in here. And part of the reason I'm doing it one at a time is so I can remember how everything goes back together. Mr. Short-term memory. And I want to make sure I do this right. All right, so number one is done. Now, right here in the middle of this video, I'm just going to say something that would be nice. I've put these red line tuning struts on, and I also have lights on the cowl. That all prevents me from folding this windshield up, or the hood up against the windshield. And, from having Jeeps in the past, it is so much easier to get in there and work when you can fold this thing up out of the way. So there are disadvantages. I mean, yeah, you can pop these things off. And I could take the time to take all the lights off and everything, but I'm not going to mess with that because it's cold and I'm impatient. But that's just something to think about. If you're going to do all these things like I've done, there are downsides to it. Now, to get this second one out, we're going to have to take some things loose to get them out of the way so we can get the coil up out of there. Mechanics always complain about engineers and how they need to work on vehicles for a couple of years before they design vehicles. And I gotta say, I agree with that. It's silly to me that I have to take all this stuff off to get to a part that I know I'm going to have to replace during the life of this vehicle. It's just one of those interesting engineering ideas that, I don't know. You gotta be kidding me. There. Okay, that was the right tool. Okay, there's coil number 2. I tell you what, that one wanted to fight me coming out. Number two compared to a new one. For some reason, this second one, the socket wants to get stuck in there. Oh, shoot. All right, here's number two. We're gonna go ahead and put this hose back on because it's not gonna get in the way of anything else. All right, that's in there good. And this wire, we're gonna leave that. You guys remind me towards the end of the video to put this back on, okay? Ooh, here's number three. Number three. Number three going back in. I'm kind of used to working on older cars, and of course spark plugs come in all sorts of different varieties. You really have to spin a long time, a lot longer than what I'm accustomed to. You know, like some older vehicles, the spark plug threads will be a lot shorter, so you really got to spin it longer than you think you should. And I'm not using a torque thing on it. I'm turning the torque down on my drill, so I'm not like cranking on those screws. They don't have to be super tight. I don't know what the torque specs are. That would probably be smart of me to know. Now this back one presents a little bit of an issue because the screw is actually underneath this area. So we're gonna try something a little different there. Nice. Once I broke it, I could get it with my fingers. You know, I just have to laugh. A lot of my issue with getting up in here, I'm too tall to stand on the bumper and reach back in there. And I'm too short. I mean, I'm 6'4", but with a 2-inch lift and the 35s, I'm having trouble reaching everything, but figuring out how to get myself back in here. Okay. Got that back one without taking it loose. And if you're questioning when it's all the way loose with that foam or rubber or whatever it is inside that socket, you can pull up on that spark plug a little bit and feel that it's still threaded in. And you give it a few more spins, you can, just kind of tug up on it a little bit. And eventually you'll feel that, when you tug up on it, you can feel the weight of the spark plug, and that it's in there and hanging on by that foam or rubber or whatever that is. And there's number 4 side by side with the new one going in. It's not burnt, that little point on the end isn't burnt horribly. So I wouldn't say I was too terribly overdue. The owner's manual says to do it at 60,000 miles, but I'd be curious if you do a lot of electric miles, like what that would look like, if that would be a different number. Even though I know I could probably go a lot longer, I figure why push it? They've come up with a maintenance schedule for a reason, and it's $75. I mean, yeah, that's expensive, but this is a nice machine and I want to take care of it. So, even though this is a plug-in hybrid and I do a lot of electric miles, I want to take care of this gas engine, because my intent is to drive this thing for, I'm hoping 12 to 15 years. So there's no point chincing on maintenance when the manual calls for it, just because I think it probably doesn't need it right then and there. And when I'm pushing these down, you can feel them. You can feel them seat on the spark plug when you get them down in there. I wouldn't count on this screw to seat them. I want to feel that seat on that really well. And I know it'd be easier if I had a swivel and the right socket wrench. But the unfortunate thing is I have 2 young men that live in this house who were just like me when I was growing up, and I never put tools back where they belong. And so I always have to go looking for my tools, and I figured just grabbing this wrench was easier. All right. Oh, what'd you guys forget to remind me about? We gotta put this back in. All right. And I broke that plastic a little bit. I'm not happy about that. That's on there. That's on there. All right. So we are good to go. You have to line these things up. It's not too bad because they actually make a really big hole to aim it, to guide it down in there. And of course, once you center it around the oil fill, your holes should be about lined up. Should be. Come on. I had this issue the last time I had this thing off. And then back here in the back, pop them back down on the ball sockets, and we're in business. So there it is. There's the whole project. Thanks for being a part of this video. Take care. Oh, by the way, total running time from when I started the camera till just now is 47 minutes and 35 seconds. So it's a 45-minute job. It's probably, if you know what you're doing, a 30-minute job. I just edited the video down so you didn't have to sit through all my grunting and all that stuff. Thanks for watching.